So we all know that Matt Reeves is directing The Batman and is currently being shot as we speak, with recent updates showing him even teasing some behind the scenes shooting with an updated look at the placeholder logo for The Batman. Warner Brothers has also recently officially done a press release for The Batman detailing that filming is underway with Robert Pattinson, in their words, as Gotham City's vigilante detective, Batman, and billionaire Bruce Wayne, among the other expected cast members being mentioned once again that we've already been over before, but in particular Paul Dano's Edward Nashton and Colin Farrell's Oswald Cobblepot. However, they are interestingly for now the only villains mentioned in the press release being among the star-studded ensemble for the movie. There was no mention of the rumored other villains of the movie such as Harvey Dent's Two-Face, Mad Hatter, and Firefly, who you just may have heard floating around before. However, this doesn't mean that they couldn't be minor characters in the movie to be set up for a future film in the trilogy. Among the press release as well was Peter Sarsgaard's role as Gotham's District Attorney Jill Coulson, which makes me think that Harvey Dent might not even be Two-Face yet, which would contradict some of the rumors that during the events of the Batman movie that all of Batman's rogues gallery would have supposedly been active and out there in Gotham, even if not appearing in the movie front and center. But yet again, I do want to mention though that this could still be a possibility, just that they are not in the film. But either way, the ball is truly rolling now with the Batman, with just more updates and more behind the scenes teasers to come for sure, with us surely seeing the Batsuit reveal, which won't be too far away in the future. So just make sure that you subscribe to the channel to make sure you never miss out on an update. But for now, with all of these recent updates on the movie, it's kind of just made me think about, well, what you probably clicked on the video for, and that is where the Batman trilogy could go with its villains. I mean, so far we know little concrete facts about the Batman, other than we know that Edward Nashton, aka the Riddler, and Oswald Cobblepot are the two Batman villains that Reeves and Warner Brothers feel comfortable talking about in some capacity at this moment in time. And even though we haven't even got movie number 1 out of the way, I still feel like this is a very interesting question to ask, in that being, should Joker be a villain in the Batman trilogy? Now, I know some of you may be thinking, why are you talking about this when not even the first movie is, come out yet? But I just say to that, why not? I think it's a really interesting thing to think about when it comes to this trilogy and what it could accomplish. I mean, what villains they could incorporate into the movies, given what we've seen before with previous Batman movies in recent years, and perhaps what they should tackle when it comes to the second and third movie, because when it comes to the Joker character in particular, I've already seen plenty of people say things both for and against about his potential inclusion in the upcoming Batman trilogy. So let's start with the first thing that comes to my mind. If you ask me about seeing Joker in anything, especially when it comes to this film trilogy that will offer a new exciting noir-themed, point-of-view, detective-driven Batman movie, my first reaction from my heart would be hell yes. But then if I take a step back and think with my head, I then begin to reconsider that maybe he doesn't actually have to make an appearance this time. And that's kind of what I want to get into the grit of in this video. Because if the Joker was to be introduced into Matt Reeves' trilogy, then this would be yet another live action Joker we've seen on top of Heath Ledger's, Jared Leto's, and most recently Joaquin Phoenix's. And even though you could say so, I would still like to see a Batman in his formative years in the second or third movie come up against another casting of the Joker. And to that I would say fair enough. So do I, to be honest. I mean, I can't deny that I would love to see my favorite DC villain go up against Pattinson's Batman in an all new fresh take. But my argument in this video is, as much as I would also be intrigued to see what Reeves could come up with, for argument's sake, if he did decide to tackle that character as a main villain in one of his movies, is that he doesn't have to. For once, there could be a series of Batman films that doesn't have the inclusion of the Joker, in which I feel most previous live action movies feel obligated to do or reach at some point. And of course, this trilogy might be the same, but yet again, it really doesn't have to. The thing about this upcoming Batman trilogy is that I really do believe that you don't have to go there, and could you take a guess as to why? Because Batman has plenty of other villains in his rogues gallery and extended beyond that. For once, we could see a series of films that lets us see Robert Robert Pattinson's vigilante detective tackle other big rogues gallery villains, the first of course being, or so it at least seems for the time being, the Riddler and the Penguin in the first film, which I'm sure some other faces might appear here and there. But since this is Batman in his formative years, in the second movie he could tackle someone else, whether that be Scarecrow, Two-Face, the Mad Hatter, Clayface, or just numerous others. Like, let me know your thoughts on what other villains you would like a whole other film to be dedicated to. But whoever it may be for the second or the third movie, you could still create very enticing movies surrounding just these characters without the inclusion of the Clown Prince of Crime. Also, just another point here, I don't know if anyone else has wondered this, but I've already wondered to myself about the question of, does Matt Reeves even really want to tackle that character, just because of how much has been done recently? However, when I say that though, I just want to get this clear, I'm not trying to sound like I'm saying the Joker character is completely exhausted. I mean, not at all. I'm just saying that it's almost an expectation at this point for some fans, especially if you're tackling a trilogy of films like Matt Reeves is going to, but maybe he doesn't want to go the typical route of, oh, I'm doing a Batman trilogy, so I'm gonna have to cast a Joker and center a whole film around him at some point. But to those who are saying, but I still don't see how you can do a whole Batman trilogy and not have the Clown Prince of Crime's inclusion in it. Well, to appease that aspect, if Matt Reeves doesn't decide to write a story surrounding Pattinson's Batman and the Joker, since we already know this Batman is in his very early formative years, depending on how much of a time gap there is between the first and the third film, Reeves could actually tease the introduction of the Joker at the very end of his trilogy. Now, I know for some fans that would be very frustrating, or maybe you're just thinking that right now, because fans would have got, let's assume, 3 great films, with the first surrounding the main antagonist of Edward Nashton's Riddler, let's say the second with Harvey Dent's fall into Two-Face, and the third and final film with some other villain or villains, for it to only then end with how you would have loved to have seen Reeves' take on the Joker. And I appreciate that, but I go back again to the point of how great the trilogy could still be surrounding very gripping plots with the other villains, and since Batman is still in his early long-spanning career, with by the end of the third film having established himself as the Dark Knight and protector of Gotham City, to me personally, I think it's kind of an interesting idea knowing that he only then, at the end of the third film, let's say, witnesses the creation of the Joker with this man falling into the chemical vat mirroring that of the Killing Joke, or just some other way, insert your own vision here I guess, and it ends with us knowing that's where this character is heading next. But also that we don't necessarily need to see it, as we'd already gotten a great trilogy so far which was given the opportunity to take advantage of exploring other characters of his rogues gallery. And furthermore, the audience having seen various Jokers in times past, of which I think we've had our fill, even though we're always hungry for more, I even think that would just be quite a cool way to end it. But then again, another point to make is that the Batman's third and final film release is likely to release around, I don't know, let's say 2025, and you could just say, depending on how popular the trilogy will be with its first release in 2021, that they could actually decide to tackle the Clown Prince of Crime during that time frame. I mean, for all we know, Matt Reeves might already have somewhat of a very rough idea of where he could go in these 3 films. I mean, obviously he's not focusing on those right now, not even remotely so, but he could have already partially decided he wants to go there with the Joker, or then again, he might have decided against it. But that could also change in 5 years. Also, including the Joker in his trilogy only really works in his favor because no matter what, the hype surrounding the Batman's second or third movie, audience members going in knowing that the movie surrounds the villain being the Joker compared to any other Batman villain will be just guaranteed more hype, just because most people and their grandma know something about the Joker, versus if he just kept it to another popular villain. Now, I'm not saying other popular villains won't be popular, I'm just saying, come on, I think we all know that Joker would just be a guaranteed hype machine. But then again, he could just decide to make good films without the guaranteed intrigue of a story with the Joker, and I would support that. But I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below, guys. How would you like this trilogy to go? As I said, this isn't really a factor of, oh, they haven't even got the first film out of the way. It's just genuinely thinking, where could Matt Reeves take this? We know that the Penguin, we know that the Riddler will be in the first movie. It's very unlikely that Joker would pop up in that. It's quite unlikely maybe even other fully fledged villains will be concentrated on in the first movie as well. So what about the second and the third? And would you like to see Robert Pattinson's Batman tackle the Joker? Now, I know your first answer might be yes, because, you know, even I admit, like, I would love to see that. But then again, there could be room for other characters to make seriously amazing films just within themselves, whether that be Mr. Freeze or any of the other names that you can just think of. There's so many ways that this could go that I just think it's kind of interesting to think about. But I would also love to know if you think that it would be also cool for it to end with the introduction of the Joker, maybe just based off the fact that during the first 3 films he could be relatively early in his career, and then, you know, in a typical Killing Joke way, that could then forge the creation of the Joker, considering the Batman still has a lot of years left till he hangs up the cowl. But other than that, everyone, if you enjoyed this Batman video on, you know, the Batman trilogy, I would really appreciate it if you left a like on it. It only takes 2 seconds of your time. Other than that, if you want to stay up to date with any updates on the movie and other extra videos like this, make sure you're subscribed, or just stay subscribed with notifications on. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, Bat family, in the next video. Goodbye.